Welcome back to Book Break. Now you might not usually catch me surrounded by this much wildlife. I'm more of an indoors kind of gal, but I'm here today in the middle of the rainforest. Just kidding, I'm actually here today at the Barbican Conservatory. And I've been inspired to come here today and experience the great call of the wild because I've been reading quite a few books recently that are set in the great outdoors. And I'm starting to think that maybe I should spend a bit more time surrounded by greenery after all. So first, I've been revisiting a classic from my childhood, The Jungle Book. This here is the complete Jungle Book. It's a collection of all the stories involved in The Jungle Book and the second Jungle Book, which was published a year later. There are so many characters and stories in here that didn't make it into the movie, so it's so fun to go back and re-explore the original. And then while I was in a Jungle Book mood, I also completely fell in love with Into the Jungle. This is for younger readers, but if you're a fan of The Jungle Book, it's so lovely and nostalgic to go and read these. This is a collection of origin stories for each of the most beloved characters in The Jungle Book, and it's got the most beautiful illustrations all the way through. And while I'm talking about books set in the wild, I cannot ignore Walden by Henry David Thoreau. This is pretty much the great nature book. It's a reflection of his time spent living in a cabin in the woods, and it's all about self-reliance and humans as a part of nature. The thought of living in a cabin in the woods, separated from my iPhone, fills me with a strong sense of dread, which is probably a sign that I really need to try this out. And now, get ready for one of the most beautiful book covers you have ever seen in your life. This is Walden by Isabella Tree. Walden is the story of the farm run by Isabella and her husband Charlie, and what happened when they decided to step back and let nature take over. Their land is now home to extremely rare species like turtle doves and purple emperor butterflies. It's this bustling ecosystem, and it's a really amazing story of the magic of nature, what happens when you let nature take the lead. And now for something a little bit different, a poetry collection. Black Nature is the first collection to focus specifically on nature poems by African American authors. And it's all about reclaiming a genre that black poets have for a very long time been left out of. African American poets have been writing about nature for over 4 centuries, but these poems are always interpreted as protest poetry or political poetry, and therefore they're left out of what the definition of nature poetry is. So this book, edited by Macmillan, is all about changing that. Now enough about humans, let's get on to the dogs. The Call of the Wild is about a dog called Buck who is kidnapped and then sold as a sled dog in Alaska, and how he just becomes wilder and wilder. And I've got it paired here in this lovely edition along with White Fang, which is also about a wild dog. Jack London's got a really good theme going on here. Now, before Frozen ever even existed, my childhood Elsa was the lion from Born Free. This book by Joy Adamson is the true story of how she rescued a lion cub called Elsa and raised it in her home, and then realised that as a wild animal, Elsa needed to be returned to the wild, and so she set her free. And it was a movie, and it was so good, and the theme tune was so beautiful, and I'm just completely in love with this edition here with the cute little lion nose on the cover. Now, if you're looking for a book about the healing powers of nature, I recommend Ceremony by Leslie Marmon Silko. Ceremony is a novel about Tayo, a Native American veteran who is suffering from trauma after being held as a prisoner of war. And when he returns to the Laguna Pueblo reservation where he grew up, he initially just feels even more isolated from everyone around him. But when he starts exploring the ancient Laguna rituals, which involve going out and reconnecting with nature, this helps bring him closer to nature and to his surroundings, and also to the people around him. And then, of course, there's Robinson Crusoe, the story of a sailor marooned on a desert island for nearly 3 decades. This novel is almost 300 years old, and some people consider it to be the first ever novel. That massively depends on your definition of novel, but I think we can all agree it's one of the most exciting. There have been so many books and movies and TV shows all based on this premise of being stuck on a desert island. Well, Robinson Crusoe did it first. And finally, I can't talk about heading into the wild without talking about Into the Wild by Jon Krakauer. It's the true story of young college graduate Christopher McCandless, who gave away his college fund, cut off all communication with his family, and headed out into the wild. 2 years later, he was found dead in an abandoned bus in Alaska, and in this book, Jon Krakauer traces everything that happened in between. So give this video a thumbs up if I mentioned your favourite book set in nature, and do please leave me a comment letting me know your favourite book set in the great outdoors. And of course, do subscribe to this channel because we post new videos every Thursday. And can I recommend that you pay a visit to the Barbican Conservatory? It is absolutely amazing here. It feels like I have stepped into a real jungle. See you next time.